Everyone hear me okay? Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Katie Gallagher, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day for us. Today, we're excited to present Guiding Teachers Through Blended Learning Best Practices. My name is Katie Gallagher, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing focused on teaching and learning for K through 12. Today, thank you to Sarah Tomczak for joining us from the field marketing team to help us with attendance and to help keep up with the questions in chat. We are hosting today's K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series session, and we're always open to new ideas for topics for the series. So please let us know if you have an interest in presenting a future session or there's a topic that you would like to see. You can always access the sessions, the recordings from this series. They're all recorded, including today. They're all available at this playlist on the Blackboard TV YouTube playlist. In a few days, you'll receive the recording and the presentation slides in the form of a PDF by email, but you can always go to this playlist as well. I want to take this time to invite you to BB World this summer. We are working on building out the best program for K-12 yet at Blackboard World, and we are very excited to announce a free pre-conference workshop for all K-12 attendees. We'll actually be on the day Blackboard World starts, so you won't have to come in early, just maybe the day before it starts. But on Tuesday, July 12th, we'll be doing a half-day workshop on blended learning, and we would love to see you there. There are no additional fees outside your Blackboard World registration for the K-12 program. So please consider joining us at BB World this summer. Today is the first of the last 3 sessions in the spring Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series. We're really pleased to have Melissa Holloway and Alyssa Cozart with us today from Klein ISD. We've got 2 more sessions lined up this spring on May 2nd and May 9th, so we hope that you can join us to close out the series for the spring. Today, Melissa from Klein, Melissa joined Klein moving into blended learning when the district opened its first one-to-one computing campus in the fall of 2006. She started in the classroom and moved into a hybrid library media instructional technology specialist position before joining Klein's team supporting libraries and instructional technology integration throughout the district. Her experience includes program management and system administration of student email, private label, wiki, and Blackboard. Melissa works collaboratively with other instructional leaders to develop and provide professional development using available digital resources to bring learning to life in connected classrooms. For the last 10 years, Alyssa's focus has been working with teachers to transform their teaching through technology with experiences in both Klein ISD as well as at the university level. For 9 years, she worked as a campus instructional specialist, helping teachers in Klein's one-to-one computing initiative before joining the district's information literacy team in August of 2015. Her experience in the creation and management of face-to-face online and blended courses has allowed her to tackle both complex theoretical and practical issues related to educational technology use. She's worked intimately with both the system management Blackboard as well as with course development. Her passion is keeping teachers develop best practices with digital tools, including Blackboard, to help navigate a blended environment. So we're very pleased to have both Melissa and Alyssa with us today. So with that, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. We're excited to be here today. We have been looking forward to this for a while, and to be very honest, today's presentation is kind of a summarization of what we've spent the last 10 years doing in Klein, as well as how we're looking forward to growing in the future. So we really appreciate the time to share our experience with you and everyone here today. I'm going to take us through a few slides, and then Alyssa will help pick up and explain a few of the portions that we have divided today's presentation into, and we'll come back to finish a few things up before questions at the end. We want to start by giving everyone an idea of where Klein is and what we're doing. We are northwest of Houston in Texas. We're about an hour northwest of Galveston, or the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. If you look at Texas, you'll see we're about 3.5 hours southeast of Dallas. And if you consider us on a larger scale in the United States, we're about 6 hours west of New Orleans. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we are. Today it is wet in the Houston Metroplex, and we're glad to be very connected today to visit with you all. If we look at who is part of Klein, we are looking at a large number of students. We're at 50,400 students with about 6,600 employees throughout Klein ISD. We have 31 elementary campuses, and I know you can see these things, but sometimes it helps to hear them as well. 31 elementary campuses, 9 intermediate campuses, and 4 high school campuses that are currently open. We also have elementary 32 under construction to open in the fall. We have high school 5 ready to open the following fall, and intermediate 10, which we can see in 3 years. So growth is part of our big picture. As part of that Houston area, we're very similar to many of the schools around in the suburbs, very much a Houston suburban school district. We can also see that when we look at our student populations. And as you look at our breakdown of ethnicity, and then when we start to look at our specific subpops, 14% of our students are currently African American, 39% are Hispanic, we have about 35% who are white Caucasian, 9% who identify as Asian, and then 3% identify as 2 or more races. The bigger picture there also comes into what our learners are like no matter their ethnicity. We have about 43% of our students who are classified as economically disadvantaged, as well as 41% who very clearly are at risk. We also have a 14% population of English language learners. So as Klein has grown and will continue to grow, we know that our students are increasingly diverse, and that we are looking at lots of different people coming to Klein. We have probably between 35 and 40 different languages spoken here. So that increasingly diverse key is part of how we also focus on what we do with our students in our classrooms as well as with our resources. To see what we're doing with blended learning and how we're really working to support teachers so that they can focus on their blended learning best practices, it's really nice to have an idea of Klein's first decade with one-to-one. As Katie mentioned, we opened one-to-one 10 years ago in the fall of 2006 with a small high school program of choice, a very small student population, a small teacher population, and have grown significantly from there. Our district plan was to add a year where our teachers received their devices 1 year ahead of students, and it gave them a heads up. It gave them almost a jump start into what they could expect. They were able to think about what instructional tools they wanted to integrate. They were able to think about the possibilities that existed with connected learning that didn't necessarily exist when you had 2 computers in the back of the classroom and lots of textbooks around. With that said, we still have tremendous resources in our classrooms, but that shift with teachers where they were able to start thinking about learning a little differently before the students were, helped to give them a familiarity and a comfort level with technology before students jumped in and ran with it. You can see by looking at the graphic on the left side of this slide that really it was pretty strategically broken out on a sequential basis year by year, where we started with Vistas, moved into Criminal Intermediate, and then shifted to teachers, where you will see in each of those boxes a set of teachers and then a set of students, and then a set of students and then a set of teachers. We had a slight delay several years back when the economy slowed more than we had anticipated it would, and resumed connecting all of our learners in the 2013-14 school year when it comes to our high school kids. We currently have 6 campuses that are fully one-to-one. They're all using Blackboard Learn for that LMS system. So we're talking about 16,000 students and approximately 1,000 teachers and administrators district-wide. You'll notice on the slide here that we started with Angel Learning in the 2007-2008 school year, and we worked on different servers there. By the time we moved away from Angel and transitioned to Blackboard, I think we were at 32 separate servers because our implementation was really busting at the digital seams. We found that the more opportunities people had to use digital tools, the more they used them, the greater and richer the digital projects became, and we needed to be able to come work together. What we know in this big picture after 10 years is that we've come a long way, and we still have a long way to go. But that the LMS, the place of an LMS in our blended learning picture is huge. Teachers and administrators at this point who have been there and done that and are continuing to thrive in our high schools and at Crimmel have a difficult time when they think about stepping away from a one-to-one classroom and a one-to-one classroom without an LMS. So that is a form of success for us that we really enjoy and are excited about. It also gives us great expectations to keep growing and keep doing good things. I think that's about it for this slide. There's a lot of information there, and I have to hold myself back because I could really talk a lot about this. There's so much to that rich history, but really our focus is on what we do because we've got devices in hands. Whether our students are at one-to-one campuses or not, we are very fortunate and inclined to have abundant digital resources for our students to use. We work out of a StudentNet web page where students can access digital resources of all kinds, ebooks, databases, digital textbooks, reference materials, everything on this list and then some. We've got teachers and instructional leaders who are curating really rich resources and providing lots and lots of web links to our students either through communication tools or through shared learning spaces or through some great websites. In addition to that, we've got a great resource of productivity, communication, and collaboration tools. Our students and our teachers actually have Office 365 and Google accounts. Our teachers work with Remind for some messaging and for some announcements to a larger audience. And this is something that our kiddos are used to, whether they're in those one-to-one schools or not. StudentNet is something that everyone uses to jump in and access digital resources. On this next slide, you're going to see what those pages look like. On the left, you'll see the StudentNet page, and this is a page that students can access whether they're in district or out of district. The links over on the left will jump you into pages like the two smaller boxes on the right with classroom resources, with campus resources, with image searches, with references, citation generators, and even primary source links. We believe it's important to help provide some of these strong educational connected resources so that teachers can spend their time working on what to do with them and students can spend their time exploring the resources rather than finding them and then having to figure out what to do. This all plays into a really nice big picture that we'll talk about toward the end of our presentation with Klein's growth with one-to-one. We're very excited to be able to grow our one-to-one program over the next 5 years to reach all students in grades 3 through 12, as well on a 1-to-1 ratio, as well as a 2-to-1 ratio for our students in pre-K through second grades. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but this page in front of you really gives you a snapshot of what all students can see and access on a large basis, which is part of why 1-to-1 becomes an easier transition for our students when they're used to working with digital resources. So what we really want to focus on today are the keys that we've identified in-house as supporting teachers with their best practices in blended learning. We believe that there is tremendous power in teachers' ability to teach, to find resources that work well for we're helping to provide, but they're able to make some of those decisions that are sound instructional decisions for their classes, their content, and their specific student groups from year to year, sometimes from class period to class period. So from our perspective within information literacy and working at a district level, we're able to focus on 3 very specific areas that let teachers focus on what they're good at in the teaching and the learning and designing. We'll talk today about structure, and then we'll look at support, as well as communication, because those 3 biggies are big keys for us. We definitely want to start by identifying and clarifying a little bit of what I'm talking about when I think about blended learning today, because we all have some different definitions. It evolves the more we work with it, but in Klein, what you will find is that despite our 1-to-1 connected ratio, our students at 1-to-1 campuses still come to a very traditional school scheduled day. They'll attend high school classes from about 7:15 or 7:20 until about 2:20 or 2:30 every afternoon. They go through a 7-period day. On certain days of the week, they have an activity period where some different special grouping and student subsets of focused instruction or RTI or test prep, those kinds of things happen. We see this very traditional school setting enhanced by our blend of access to digital resources, to the LMS, to that list of resources you saw on StudentNet just a few moments ago, as well as many, many others that teachers provide to kids because the connected possibilities are now there. Really, as you're walking down the halls of a one-to-one campus, it's very rare that a class period passes without a teacher saying, okay, open up your Blackboard class, and I want you to check the link in this announcement. Or open your Blackboard class, and we're going to start with an assessment. You'll find it at the top of your test folder, and we're going to jump right in. That's just part of how we do it anymore. It's really a nice transition, and that for us is really what blended learning looks like in Klein. We're building and expanding some of those into other options, but today we see this throughout all 4 of our high schools as well as Krimmel and Vistas. For everyone working in a one-to-one campus in Klein, the LMS has been the foundation upon which teachers organize and deliver instruction, and where students interact with class materials, and increasingly where they interact with other student groups, other learning groups, and different components of the connected digital learning environment of our one-to-one schools and classrooms. So let's start with a quick look at structure. I'm going to address structure for you today, and then Alyssa will jump into support and communication. And you'll hear a little bit about more from each of us as we talk about where we've really spent the majority of our time working over the last few years. So structure can kind of seem, for me, it's part of what's important. I keep a little Post-it note stuck over my computer that says structure for success. I really try to think about the things that we do and how we set people up for success by providing some structure so they don't have to go do it on their own. With that said, structuring teachers for blended learning success in Klein takes on a couple of specific components. When we were working in Angel Learning on multiple servers, we felt a little bit of a disconnect from a teaching perspective and from a collaboration perspective if we were at different campuses. So we learned from that experience that we needed to really be able to function as one large learning community in Klein working through an LMS. It would allow us greater collaboration. It would allow us opportunities to reach students who may be in a smaller group who needed some attention from a different campus in a different way. We also found that it helped to provide some options when we were having trouble perhaps with a difficult to fill staffing position, where we had teachers who were splitting their days at one campus and mornings at one campus and afternoons at another. By being able to come to a single domain for all Klein students working in an LMS, which is kleinisd.blackboard.com, we were able to provide a district-wide playing field for support, for some structure, and for a connected learning community that gave us possibilities we didn't have when we were segmented within Angel. Students didn't really realize that disconnectedness, but those of us who were working either in the classroom or working with teachers to help make some connections, or at the larger district level to share to multiple campuses at once, felt it and really were enjoying the larger connection. What we know is critical, though, is that initial one-to-one teacher training, and you'll see this joining in on the second portion of this slide. During the late spring and early summer of 2013, campus instructional specialists for technology and district educational technology staff worked together to learn from Blackboard as what we were going to be working with as we jumped into this new LMS. We were excited, we were nervous, we could see possibilities, and we knew we would have to take our experience of learning with Blackboard and turn it around for teachers every time they stepped onto a one-to-one campus. And so what we have built in as part of that structure for success is initial one-to-one teacher training. So when a teacher is new to a one-to-one campus, whether they're a veteran teacher or a brand new teacher, we don't take for granted the pieces that are important in connecting and using an LMS, like our Blackboard environment. Our instructional specialists for technologies, we call them ISTs, they lead new teacher training at our one-to-one campuses, whether a teacher's been teaching for 20 years or 20 days. And that training helps give everyone that same base knowledge of the LMS environment and what it's like. It also helps to connect that community of learners before they start working with that student community, sometimes a few weeks later. What's really special about that, though, is our instructional specialists on those campuses then have weekly follow-up training sessions. We might have a Wired Wednesday theme that just continues on a week-by-week basis on let's get started with your class. Let's set up with your announcements. Let's make sure that we're using this portion really well. Let's make embedding some pieces so that learning is a little more alive than just simple upload and download. In addition to that, the relationship building that occurs because of that initial teacher training and those weekly follow-up sessions, that relationship building helps to create a just-in-time support key between our instructional specialists for technology as well as new support. What ends up happening is that questions become less intimidating for a person to ask, as well as more comprehensive for us to answer. Our specialists, our instructional technology specialists, handle all kinds of things. How do I use this? What about this piece? Is it okay if I do this? And they really give teachers the ability to ask those questions and learn what they need to know along the way, as well as be willing to learn and continue to ask questions throughout the school year. You'll see that group of specialists working really all day long. They're working before school with some sessions, they're working after school with some sessions, and throughout the day, they're working with teachers in individual conference periods. They're working in content-specific PLCs or course-specific PLCs and other learnings throughout the day. It's just a really dynamic group of people who are always on their feet and really helping keep teachers moving in the right directions with connected learning. From our perspective, we took some of that initial thought with our Blackboard training and we helped to create some masterclass shells that we request some input from our campuses. We help provide some basics so that everyone can start at the same place. What you see on screen is just a shot of one of those class shells. You'll notice as you look at it that there are some consistent pieces that every class starts with. Over on the left in the left course menu, you'll see announcements and about this course. The line separating that piece of information from our 6 weeks content areas follows, with each 6 weeks given a special content area of its own, and teachers can jump in and do some other things as well. Help is just below it, and while we've not required anything in addition to this initially, this gives everyone a same basic starting point. You'll notice that there's a banner built in as well, because being able to visually identify what class you're in, just like you can identify when you're sitting in a classroom, the specific components that make that class one teacher's room or another, those pieces all come together. The reason we've done this is because we believe that if teachers are able to start with some basic consistent places, the entry point for every class is the announcements page. Every class has an About This Course page. Every class has started with some specific content area sections. That helps not only a teacher, but it also helps students who are new to the campus or moving from one campus or one class to the next, find what it is they need to know just to basically access the class and begin to become successful with it. On a larger scale, the function of a master class really helps to provide a focus for teachers. We take the classes that are populated through the LMS and by way of our system, our student information system files, and that series of integrations, and we make those SIS generated classes, child classes of the master class. So if a teacher teaches Algebra 1 and Geometry, she has 2 primary master classes that she's going to be able to pull from. 5 of her class periods become child classes of the class, the master class. 5 sections of geometry would all come together under that geometry master class, so that the teacher can go in and load the geometry assignments, make those geometry announcements. With the ability to work within groups, she can still speak to each class period or even to smaller differentiated groups, but keeping that through that main primary master class. For her algebra classes, she's got one master class where the 2 sections of algebra are coming into. And so rather than having to work across 7 separate LMS classes, we're able to pull those into 2 primary classes, and teachers are able to really focus on what they're doing in their classes and in those LMS environments of each digital classroom, rather than setting it up and making sure that they uploaded everything to each of the different classes at once. Really, those are just some things that we have focused on from the backside on how we create structure that helps teachers focus for success. And what I'd like to do now is really share the opportunity to explain more about support and communication with Alyssa. Alyssa has extensive knowledge with our campus support as an instructional specialist for technology, and has just come to our information literacy team this year. We were thrilled to have her join us because of what you're going to hear and the expertise she brings. So with that said, I'm going to share the screen with her at this point.
Alyssa, you may need to turn your microphone on. Not hearing any audio. Is it just me? I'm still not hearing audio. Melissa, I was hearing you just fine, but I'm not hearing Alyssa.
Right, I'm seeing the same. Let us toggle off and on really quickly and see if that helps. We're going to hand off headphones.
Okay.
It's going to appear as though I'm speaking, but we're literally handing off headphones.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, sorry about that. So much for prepping beforehand, right? Okay.
No.
All right, so the second key piece in Klein's blended learning environment is support. We basically have 2 campus-based instructional specialists at the campus level. We have, at our high school, we have 2, one at the intermediate and one who also handles library responsibilities at our high school program of choice that Melissa talked about. They all bring a lot to the blended learning table. Basically, they are our go-to people for all staff at the one-to-one schools. Really, they're the reason we get the most bang for our buck within the LMS classes and campus organizations. If you look at this slide, they really wear multiple hats at different times. And basically, they were all classroom teachers, so they understand all of the different tasks teachers juggle in a day. So that's where they get a lot of buy-in from the staff, is because they are teachers. These technology specialists know more than just the tools. They are experts in instruction. They are leaders. They model 21st century teaching. They troubleshoot and problem solve, and they also provide campus-based PD. Essentially, they are the liaisons for all of our one-to-one stakeholders. They are the middle piece between administration, IT, district personnel, and the teachers. Okay, so as we have grown in our blended classrooms in Klein, our technology specialists have also grown to help design digital classrooms within Blackboard. So on the screen, you'll see an example of growing beyond a master course shell that Melissa was talking about. This specific teacher worked with a campus instructional specialist technology technology to design a more engaging digital classroom. As you'll see, there's an embedded vocabulary activity where students are interacting with Padlet within the Blackboard course. Being able to really embed Web 2.0 tools into the Blackboard course is pretty powerful. Sometimes this can be really challenging for our teachers, and so they seek out the help from our technology specialists. They want to know what's the best way to do this and the most effective. And so our technology specialist helps design these types of activities. If you can see in the left-hand side, on the left-hand side course menu, you'll find the additions of discussions, journals, and blogs that students within this specific class can use. And again, this is just one type of activity that our technology specialists have done to help teachers develop richer classes. Okay, in addition to the technology specialist, we have other teams within the district that support the hardware and the back-end processes for Klein's one-to-one schools. We have campus repair centers. They handle hardware for students and staff, and they work with district IT staff and the technology specialists to really problem solve. We also have district support from our team in information literacy. There's an IT, and then we also have our SIS group, our Student Information Services group. It's really powerful that we have every day we have teams in different buildings and throughout the district that are supporting our one-to-one in different ways. Okay. So the third key and the final piece of Klein's blended learning picture is communication, and it's a big piece to the puzzle. One of the most consistently successful uses in Blackboard has been the use of organizations from campus to campus and across the district. Initially, organizations provided real examples for teachers to see how to use announcements effectively, how to build content that was more than a file download or an upload space, and really how to bring learning to life in new connected ways. On the right is a snippet of one technology specialist, a list of her organizations. We have grown to more than 620 organizations in Klein's Blackboard environment. That includes campus-wide organizations, student clubs, teacher groups, and instructional teams. Campuses really depend on these organizations to function for communication during the school day as well as outside of the school day. It's interesting, we have homecoming voting and NHS voting and just daily announcements from campuses. So it's really turned into a really powerful collaborative learning space. The second thing that with communication that we do is we have a staff module within LMS, and we use this to provide specific information to staff to communicate with them as well. And then it's a really regular communication from our technology specialist, and they offer face-to-face training and support. Probably a day does not go by that they don't email or send links to resources to encourage teachers to grow in their own digital learning classroom. And then they also really work with teachers in following up with that support. So it's not about just creating that instruction, it's the personalized follow-up of evaluation and how can we do things better that have really provided this group powerful relationships with teachers. Like Melissa mentioned, I joined the information literacy team last August. I actually worked at 2 of the high schools in our district. And we've done a really good job at the campus level of creating and managing resources, but we really lacked a kind of a district hub for resources at the district level. So when I came on board last August, it was really personal to me because I wanted to help free up some time with our technology specialist as well, but just that we needed to create this hub of resources. So we've added a little more oomph to the communication we provide at the district level. We We provide LMS weekly feature focuses and our district newsletter, which we call the Communicator. And really, this is an opportunity to provide a highlight of tools in Blackboard, as well as offer specific examples of teachers using the tools in their classes. We have found that there's really power in sharing teaching examples and being able to kind of give a pat on the back to teachers that are really doing great things has really worked well. If you see on the left-hand side, there's an example of a teacher is using the HTML content editor in a biology class. This teacher, they were working on creating animated GIFs of mitosis, and so he went ahead and embedded an animated GIF in his announcement so that students could see the process all the time. And so that was just a really creative and innovative use, and that's just one example. But so we in the Communicator, we highlight that teaching example. We give a little snippet of what that tool is and what you can do with it, and then we also link to a quick guide that further demonstrates how to use that tool. We've probably created about 15 to 16 weekly articles so far, and that's been a really good thing, and it's also allowed us to be able to create resources at the district level with the support of the technology specialist. We have done everything from how to insert a banner, how to send an email, how to organize your course. This next week's topic is going to be on how to run reports and find where a little bit more about students' movement within the class. So that's just kind of one thing that we're doing within at the district level to promote some of the creative things happening in our Blackboard classes. So with the articles that we've been producing in the Communicator, we've also created kind of this hub of resources. And I know a lot of colleges and universities they have their own tool-based resource. I know Blackboard has their site that we use quite frequently. But we kind of needed to create something that was what we like to say is used in Klein. We Kleinize it because we have specific examples of how our teachers are doing things. And so sometimes we create specific videos from us, and then other times we link to the Blackboard site. But essentially, if you look at this website, and this is a Google site that we've created in-house, and we've broken it into 4 sections. We have a Getting Started section, a Building This Course section, Communicating and Collaborating, and Assessing Students. Basically, each section provides resources to build and enrich Blackboard courses. We've included explanations of why components are important, shortened list of how-tos. We've created videos. Our technology specialists have created videos. We have links to full-length printable guides that walk teachers step by step through whatever process they are needing. And basically, we have almost 1,000 teachers that are one-to-one schools, and we're better able to serve the just-in-time support to new teachers who want to learn more and see actual examples with a site like this. So this is definitely a work in progress. We're continually building and evaluating, but this has been a really kind of a big component of our work this year. Let me see if I'm actually going to share the application since I had to switch computers. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm going to share the content just to give you a better idea. Hopefully I'll have a little bit better technical luck. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is our Klein Learns Blackboard site. Like I said, this is an in-house Google site, and this will give you just an idea of how we've set it up. Let me just click on Personalizing Course. Essentially, on each page, we've added why is personalizing your course important. Given a quick little synopsis, real quick how-tos, steps. And then here are the teachers that I was speaking to. So this is a teacher at one of our one-to-one high schools, and she loves changing out her course banners depending upon the theme or the time of the year. And these are some examples that she was able to share with us. And so we always try to include teacher examples because we really feel it's important to personalize the Blackboard learning environment. We include a video tutorial. And then at the bottom, we also include the quick guide, which teachers can print out, and oftentimes they really enjoy a hard copy versus the computer-based instruction. Okay, here's another one of adding announcements. Why are announcements important? Really, announcements in our environment, we really drive our learning experience through announcements. That's the entry point of our classes. How do I create an announcement? Video tutorial. So here's another example of a teacher using announcements in Blackboard. They actually they color code for the week so that they can always go back and students can look for the weekly announcements. And there is the quick guide. And I'll do one more, adding content folders, so you can just get an idea. Why are content folders important? And then how do I add a content folder? How do I move folders to another location? And then here, another example of a teacher, how they set up their content folders with using that HTML editor of inserting pictures by weeks and with pictures. So that's really interesting because we want to create a structure, but at the same time we want to be able to have teachers to really personalize and take ownership in their classes. Okay, so I'm going now. Go back. Hey Katie, can you put the slides back up? Do you mind? Katie? Oh, there we go.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so that was Klein Learn's Blackboard. Okay, so we've given you a quick snapshot of our work within the three things that have really three key areas that have really evolved for us: structure, support, and communication. And as we're moving forward, we continue to look at these three things. With structure, we're adapting our master course shells to provide quick links to collaboration and digital resources. So this is a picture of a screenshot of our course template for next year. And again, it's a work in progress, but over here on the left-hand side, you'll see in About This Course and a digital resources content area, and then announcements. We've also renamed our first 6 weeks to grading period 1, grading period 2. Also added a collaboration station, and this was actually an aha moment we experienced with working with our Blackboard's Adoption Success Program with Misty Cobb this year. We've been on some weekly phone calls with Misty, who has kind of evaluated our program and is helping us really frame what we're wanting, how we're wanting to grow, and we really want to bring out some of those collaboration pieces so that teachers see them all the time. And so right now that's kind of what we're building, and we're still adding to this template in preparation for next year, and we will continue to adjust as needed. We're also taking advantage of the customer support and the learning opportunities that Blackboard provides. It helps us structure the digital learning environment so that teachers can stay focused on their content. The adoption success process has been invaluable to us this year. talking those weekly phone calls like we just mentioned, and kind of going through what we're doing well and where we want to grow. We also have regular calls with our managed hosting, which helps us make the best big picture decisions with regard to updates, maintenance, and working through requests behind the Blackboard. This next summer, we're going to be jumping into our content collection, and we're going to be further expanding some connected resources in our Blackboard environment. This is an area that we really haven't done a lot with, but we're ready to address, and we want to be able to maximize our resources. So this is an area we are excited about. And I'm going to pass it on over back to Melissa, and she's going to talk about how we're focusing in the future for support and communication.
Thanks for your patience with this today. You know how technology sometimes has a mind of its own. Being able to literally pass off a mic'd set of headphones has been very helpful. So we're not going to take a whole lot more of your time. I know we'll have some questions coming before long because I've seen a few come up today. But we wanted to show you those future focus pieces that we have with regard to supporting communication as well. Because we have developed that nature of collaboration and working together, that's a huge part of how we're able to successfully set teachers up for success with their blended environments. We will continue collaboration among our group of instructional specialists for technology, as well as with other specialists serving content areas and other specific programs throughout the district. Learning and continuing responsiveness within each campus group and at the district level is going to be a really important part of how we're able to successfully support Blackboard and our users' experience within Blackboard. And we're also really excited about collaboration opportunities as our district expands one-to-one access to intermediates and then through grades 3 through 5, as we talked about earlier. Klein's Future Ready 21 implementation offers just unlimited opportunities to collaborate and to learn from one another. We'll be working with intermediate specialists in new ways. We will be working to share some of what we have learned along the way, as well as opening our eyes to new opportunities and new possibilities, so that as the district expands that one-to-one connectedness to all students over the next 5 years on a much, much larger scale, we really are growing as a district and community of learners to make the best use of our resources, to make the best use of our talents in teaching and learning, and to really try to get out at the head of some things. We want to be in the front of some of the leadership groups, and we want to be at the helm of people doing it right. Not because we think it's the only way to do it, but because we really take pride in how we work and do things here in Klein. Finally, the last area of future focus remains communication. We know that part of the ability to grow depends on strong community ties. We plan to grow just as you saw Klein Learns Blackboard kind of page, we plan to grow a Klein Uses Blackboard website that is public facing for students and parents to learn to navigate the digital learning environments as we do. We've got those focuses on multiple audiences, and we want to make sure that we're keeping everyone in the loop so that we are able to greater respond and craft the right places for what we're doing. We will continually seek to connect parents and students in those growing connected opportunities and see what new doors open themselves as we do so. And I think that's everything we had prepared for you today. Katie, did we miss anything that you were expecting to hear from us?
Sorry, I had trouble getting my mic on. No, this has been wonderful. I'd like to open it up to questions if that's all right with you.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. So
actually, this is Sarah. I've been writing down questions. So what I can do is I'll just present them out loud, and then Melissa or Elisa, feel free to answer. I'm sure you guys have seen them in the chat too. And then additional folks, feel free to type them in, and we'll keep taking questions. So Stacy asked earlier, do you have the same masterclass shells for K through 12, or do you have differences between high school, middle school, and lower grades?
That's a great question, Stacy. Right now, because we only serve a primarily 9 through 12 audience, that high school group with one intermediate, 15 of our 16,000 students are high school level, and that other 1,000 is an intermediate. There are about 1,200 kiddos at that intermediate. We use a single master course shell that allows us to be consistent across the secondary level, primarily the high school level. But if we are able to expand to additional intermediates and see that the grader need to adjust that for other differentiated learning groups is the best way to go, we are definitely going to do that. That comes back to the responsiveness of users and campus groups.
Great, thank you. Stacy, does that answer your question? Hopefully it does. If you have any, okay, wonderful. And then Donna asked, do you use child courses for the teacher's master course? If so, how do you manage the child courses?
We did that year one and learned a lesson for us that has been invaluable. We create we create shells that are master courses that do not tie to the SIS classes until we join the SIS classes. What we found the first year that we did that was in creating a master course that was tied to the SIS classes, or that was an SIS class, we had to delete that class before we could move teachers into the next school year. And it all had to do with our naming scheme coming from the file uploads. What we currently do is use a master course and then attach child courses to that. I'll also tell you that a big piece of our learning moving forward is that we need teachers to have a fresh master course each year so that 3 years worth of assessments and assignments are not in the way of a grade center, so that continued communication and calendar pieces, being able to really run things clearly, it will become less confusing if we're running a new master course each year. What we plan to do next year is create a new master class for a teacher, but keep the current year's master class alive so that they have it as a point of reference for over the course of 1 year. Rather than attaching and unattaching child classes every single year, that has not worked as cleanly as we had hoped. So we're adjusting with the use of the fresh master course each year. I don't know if that was very clear.
It's very clear to me. Donna, hopefully it's clear to you too. If you want to just type in the chat if that response made sense. And that's great that you're keeping that additional course, the previous year's course, alive so that they can access that content too.
We keep those courses alive, Sarah, but we also keep an external hard drive with the previous year's archive on it. I actually have 2 archives sitting in my office, and I have this year's archive drive ready to ship to Blackboard when we start that summer archive. So even if we needed to go back 2 years, we could still go back in and grab a master course.
Good. I love the backup, and that probably makes your teachers very happy. And then Val asked, yes. Val asked, I'm interested in finding out whether the colleges and universities in your area model blended learning and student-centered environments for their students. Do you guys have any insight on that you can provide to Val?
Val, I am not, hold on a second. I'm going to hand Alyssa the headphones for this question, and we may be speaking into the mic together to answer this in just a moment. Okay. Would you mind re-asking that question?
Yes, absolutely. So Alyssa, Val asked if you know whether or not the colleges and universities in your area are modeling blended learning and student-centered environments for their students.
Well, I don't know that they're modeling what we're calling blended learning. I have worked with the University of Houston Main Center as well as Houston Baptist University. I've taught classes there face-to-face as well as online. Typically, the Blackboard is used as a piece that is, at least I can only speak for these 2 institutions, as a piece to be able to provide content whether you're in class or out. Of course, when I had the opportunity when I was teaching my classes, I loved it, so I was able to really provide specific resources, and I really created a blended online class so that I had all of my resources at a moment's notice. But typically, it's it's a more, at least for my experience, it's a more simplified approach of here's your class, this is where you place your announcements. You have a lot of freedom to create and engage your students how you wish. And typically there's a set of instructional designers at the campus level that you can go and seek out classes to learn how to implement your Blackboard class. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. Val, do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, I do. The institutes here in Maryland, for the most part, are still rows and rows. Students sit in a row, and there's very little introduction of or use of technology to blend in the classroom for learning.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, the teachers or the professors will probably put something on a PowerPoint that's really their lecture. So we're not seeing it coming from the institutes from higher education, which will be extremely helpful as our teachers come in, because as you know, teachers often gravitate to teaching the way they were taught.
It's interesting because we've been using Blackboard for a handful of years, and we've also Angel Learning prior to that. We actually have students that come back to us, specifically stay in a community college or they go to a 4-year institution. They come back and they tell us that they're oftentimes more prepared to be able to participate in classes that use a learning management system. A lot of them use Blackboard. I can't speak because I'm not familiar with the Maryland system, but I do know the institutions, nearby that I've been able to participate with do use technology tools. Blackboard is a foundational piece, but it really does take the instructor or professor to be able to implement a lot of different tools, whether it's a Poll Everywhere or a Padlet or whatever tool that makes the most sense at that given moment.
Okay.
I wanted to add one more thing too. This is Melissa jumping back in. We are also in this area seeing an increase in the number of instructional technology master's programs preparing teachers to do things very technology-based. In Texas, the state legislature changed some of its funding, and we use an instructional materials allotment as well as some other schools have had to become much more creative with the ways that we use our monies and with the ways that we use our technology funds especially. And we're seeing kind of as a training group within Texas, the colleges and universities that are really hitting a lot of our teachers as they grow with their technology use. They're modeling some of those, the connected learning capabilities and options and pointing to flexibility when you are connected. So I'm not sure that we've exactly answered your question. I think that our situation may be a little different than perhaps what you're looking at, but that larger idea of personal learning networks and connected learning, that some of that becomes where we step in as teachers and what we encourage people to grow and do from district perspectives and even within our community of educators. Does that help any, Val?
Yes.
Wonderful. These have been great questions, everyone. You can either unmute your mics if you have any additional questions, or if you want to post anything in the chat, feel free to do so. And Katie, maybe if you want to run through the last slides, we'll do that. And if there's any last minute questions, we'll take those.
Perfect. Yes, keep the questions coming. We'll do our couple closing slides here, but keep the questions coming. We just want to thank you for attending today. We want to give a special thanks to our presenters, Melissa and Alyssa. You can always reach out to us on Twitter or by email if you have suggestions for future topics for this fall or would like to present. We would like to invite you to join us at BB World. These great presenters from Klein will be presenting at BB World this summer. And again, we're building the best K-12 program ever, including that pre-conference workshop. So we'd really like to see you there. So if you have any additional questions in the chat, please add them. But thank you for your time today. And we look forward to seeing you on May 2nd and May 9th for our final spring session series. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Sarah. We really enjoyed participating today.
Thank you so much, Melissa and
You're
Alyssa.
very welcome. Thank you. You guys did a fantastic job. Keep up the great work. I'm glad to hear that your experience with Misty has been a positive one. We love her.
Fantastic. It has been nurturing and inspiring and fantastic. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.